Welcome to this dopamine detox guide. In this video, you will understand how you can take control of your brain from the modern distractions. What is a dopamine detox? A dopamine detox is essentially a period of time where you replace your instant gratification with delayed gratification. Before even really getting into the video, I'm going to tell you where most beginners fail. Right, most beginners, they set the bar so high, they will have these crazy expectations from themselves. They'll say things like, oh, I'm not going to go on Instagram. I'm not going to go on YouTube for a whole week, for a whole month. I'm not going to eat junk food. I'm not going to fap again. I'm not going to watch porn. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm not going to scroll on Tinder, nothing. But by the second day, they've relapsed already and they've fallen back into the shitty habits. Don't be that person, okay? Don't hold yourself so high that eventually you become a victim of your own progress. But instead, the whole idea of a dopamine detox is to not live this sedentary monk lifestyle where you have no dopamine at all. But it's really just to replace the bad dopamine from the good dopamine. That way you can build something sustainable and something that you enjoy. There are a few terms that I need you to understand. Instant gratification and delayed gratification. Instant gratification is essentially any task or any activity that feels really good in the moment, but then leads to a crash later on. The most prominent example in today's world is scrolling. Scrolling, jacking off, eating junk food. These are all instant gratifications. They give you this momentary high, but then your dopamine drops below baseline. Your dopamine receptors are fucked, and now you can't do anything for the rest of your day. But delayed gratification, on the other hand, are activities that sort of are not very enjoyable in the moment, but later on, not only have you yielded a good percentage of your results, but it actually feels good. So for example, the most common example of a delayed gratification is a workout, a heavy, hard workout, a run, reading, meditation, visualizations. This is the difference between instant and delayed gratification. A dopamine detox allows your brain to crave hard work, and it resets the dopamine receptors. We'll get to this later on in the video, but this is just an introduction to what this guide will look like. The scary part is, once you fall into this trap of instant gratification, forget building a good business, man. Even doing the laundry hurts. And how do I know this? Because I've been this person. That's the whole fucking point of me making this video. One of my biggest examples of a delayed gratification could be a conditioning session that I do, where I'll hop on the air bike, do the rowing machine, and I'll do the ski master. When I'm doing it feels fucking, I want to feel like throwing up, But once it's done, this wave of satisfaction fills me. Now, we're moving into how delayed gratification and instant gratification actually work. The way these things work is, for example, let's say you have a certain amount of brain points in a day. Let's say you wake up, okay, and you wake up with 100 brain points. Now, if you wake up and if you scroll, you're using 30 brain points, 50 brain points, right? You lay in bed, you scroll for 30 minutes. 30 minutes turns into 1 hour, then 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Fucking hell. And honestly, this was me last year during November. I remember every day I used to wake up and sometimes I would scroll for up to 2 hours every single day. Every single day, 2 hours. And that wasn't a good time, And now you eat shit. Now you get off your bed, you go to the kitchen, you eat some shit food. You're gonna listen to some music. You're gonna scroll a bit more, and then you're gonna jack off. Now, by the time around 11 a.m. rolls around, and when it's time for you to work, you've used up most of your brain power for the day. And so now when you sit down to actually work or study or do something productive, your brain can't focus. You're voluntarily giving yourself ADHD. The time comes to do some deep work, brain's fried, and you can't focus. Try this. Do this. Tomorrow, wake up and just scroll first thing in the morning. I promise you, just scroll for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And a couple hours later, try to do something mentally demanding, such as maybe scripting a video, editing a video, studying, looking at tape, trying to even training, what you will realize is you can't focus. you can't focus and it's hard for you to tap into that flow state, right? So that's how instant gratification works. But for example, if you go down the delayed gratification route, you wake up, you start your day with some meditation, with some reading, with some journaling, with some visualizations. Now you're still using some brain points, right? But you're using less and less because it's less demanding. It's less stimulating. Your brain's not becoming, you're not really frying your brain. Instead, with reading, with meditating, you're elongating your attention span. You're lengthening it. So when the time comes to work or to study, your brain is ready to use the brain points to actually do the productive work. And now, the crazy thing is, once you go down the delayed gratification route, you will find it 100 times easier to tap into that flow state when you're actually working. I've tried this. Many other people who I've spoken to have tried this, and they all come back to me and tell me, bro, this shit fucking works. I want you to know that delayed gratification is almost like starving yourself. If you eat a steak, then you eat a burger, then you eat a pizza, you're not going to enjoy the meals as much. But let's say if you fast for the whole day, and if you suddenly just have not a big meal, but like a medium to, good meal, you're going to enjoy it a lot more. You're going to savor it. You're going to enjoy it. That's the main idea of delayed gratification. You starve yourself of the dopamine. Your brain's not fried. Your brain's not fried. You can focus. You have mental clarity. You don't have brain fog. That's how delayed gratification works. What I want you to understand is when you indulge in delayed gratification, you're setting yourself up for success. When you wake up and you meditate, you read and you journal and you visualize, you're setting yourself up for success. But on the other hand, if you indulge in instant gratification, you wake up and you scroll, you go on Tinder, you go on Reddit, you jerk off, you are setting your future self up for failure. I want you to really understand that. You are making it harder for your future self to become successful, to become something you actually want to become. It actually made a lot of sense because that's true. Because I wake up and I fucking scroll and I was like, what the fuck? Bro, I'm making it harder for myself. Why do that? Why do that for this momentary pleasure? So starve yourself of the dopamine, right? Then tap into the productive mode. You're going to do your work. The quality of your work is going to be much higher, which is going to yield you higher results, which is going to actually make you more progress. You're going to progress faster. And you don't feel depressed. You don't feel like a piece of shit. And you're actually doing something with your life, So go the delayed gratification way. It's just the way it is. Here on the screen, you'll see a list of bad dopamine. This consists of scrolling, dating apps, sugar, jacking off, scrolling, binge watching, binge eating, and drugs. Here, on the other hand, is some good dopamine, such as reading, meditating, training hard, going on a run, journaling, visualizing. So what you can do is you can sort of replace them. The idea of a dopamine detox is to not cut out all sorts of dopamine. No, it's to figure out which task gives you the most amount of dopamine, identifying it, and then cutting out all the rest. Cutting out all the useless dopamine tasks. Such as, for me, in my example, the biggest task that gave me the most amount of dopamine was scrolling. So I identified scrolling, and the other little tasks were such as eating sugar, just listening to pointless music, scrolling a bit more. You get rid of all of the small habits and you focus on the big one, okay? And once you focus on the big one, I want you to progressively deload, because if you just try to cut this out in a week, you'll relapse. Trust me, I've been there so many fucking times. And then you fall into an even deeper hole because now you feel you're not doing anything with your life. Now you feel as though you failed yourself and you fall into shame. Good dopamine, such as it could be studying about a topic you might like, such as testosterone, experiences, music, going out for a run, going in the grass. That is the main purpose of a dopamine detox. And that's the main point. The main point is not to cut out all of the dopamine, but to identify the biggest tasks that yield you the most amount of dopamine. You focus on that, and you focus on the ones that don't. They're little, like the ants. You get rid of those, and then you focus on the big one, and you progressively deload. Now, this is where I think a lot of people where instant gratification really starts snapping. I think this is where it starts to snap. And this is sort of the catalyst to an awful day. And that is scrolling first thing in the morning. Now, in this day and age, it's 2025, man, short form content is as bad as it's ever been. And honestly, it's going to get a lot worse, right? And everyone has fallen victim to this. Swear to God. But you, if you're watching a video like this, chances are you want something better for yourself. So don't scroll in the morning. I know, man, it's tough. Literally, what I do is, right, I have 2 phones. Now, some of you may not have 2 phones, and that's completely fine. Get an actual alarm from Amazon. Oh, but I don't want to get an alarm. Shut the fuck up. Stop spazzing out. Okay? And for your main phone, put it on airplane mode. Put it on airplane mode and stash it somewhere in your house. Okay? Stash it away from your bed. If your phone is literally right next to your bed, what the fuck are you doing? Right? Put it in your cupboard, bury it in some clothes, and don't look at it. Don't look at it at least an hour after you wake up. That's what I do. You're setting your future self up for failure if you scroll in the morning. And I know the vices, the thoughts come in your mind. Oh, it's just, I need to see who texted me and blah, blah, blah. Mate, you don't. You really don't. If you have notifications on, you're a fucking retard. You're taking attention away from your future self. What the fuck is wrong with you? Right? Do not scroll in the morning. It will literally set yourself up for failure. I can tell you this with my experience. Every single day that I've scrolled in the morning, I have done nothing. I have done nothing productive the whole day. And the whole day, it just feels like a waste. It literally feels as if I'm wasting my life. Strategically wasting my life. For what? For nothing in return. And then that gets you in an even deeper rut. Oh, I've already wasted today, so why not I jack off 5 more times? Watch porn. Maybe go on Tinder, try to get some smelly pussy. Like, what? Bro. You said it. This is a very vicious cycle. But here's the thing. You can cut the cycle if you don't indulge in the catalyst, which is scrolling in the morning. Like we could discuss in the video, when you indulge in instant gratification, you render yourself incapable to focus. You cannot focus. Whether that be in training, whether that be in schoolwork, whether that be in your actual work, you cannot focus. So why? Almost see it as an enemy. I'm taking shit away from my future self. Do I want that? No, I want my future self to win. So in order for him to win, I must get rid of this shit now. Now, when it comes to drugs and vices, the same advice follows suit, you know? You're not going to quit it in a day, and you don't quit a habit by just quitting. The way you actually quit is when you stop doing it, because the quality of your life has increased. Now, if you're the same shit person with the same shit habits, with the same shit lifestyle, of course you're gonna jack off. Of course you're gonna fucking pop us in. Of course you're gonna smoke a cigarette. Of course you're gonna smoke weed. You're gonna do drugs. Of course you will. This is one thing I'm so fucking grateful for. I was literally journaling about this the other day. I don't have any vices. I mean, of course, I've had a porn addiction in the past. I think a lot of guys have. But I don't have any physical vices where, in the sense where I need to fucking pop us in, or, you know, fucking let me pop us in, bro. Let me smoke. Or smoke break, fucking pussy. The fuck, you know. And the thing with zins are even worse, because what happens is that leads to that instant dopamine spike, and then it drops below baseline. So imagine for a fucking retard, imagine for a dumbass who's popping zins, multiple zins a day. People are doing tins, right? He's jacking off, he's scrolling. Mate, he's never good. Bro, you will not be able to focus. You will not be able to focus. That's the same advice for drugs and vices. If you're on a dopamine detox and you're struggling with a drug addiction or some vices, my advice to you would be to not cut it out, but to progressively deload, just like with every other bad habit. For example, with fapping. Let's say this week you fapped 5 times. Make it a goal. Next week you fap 3 times maximum. Then the week after that 2 times. The week after that 0 times. You do that over a span of 6 months. You've stopped fapping at all. You've completely stopped. Right? That's how you quit an addiction. Now, the thing with the dopamine detox is it's not going to be fixed in a week. You know, it's not going to be fixed in 5 days, 6 days, 7 days. I would advise you to give it at least a week and a half to 2 weeks. At least, right? Cut down Instagram, cut down YouTube, cut down all of these tasks of dopamine, all of these activities that give you the most amount of dopamine. Cut them out and progressively deload. That's when you're going to start to see the results. You're going to see the benefits, such as no haze, you know, no brain fog. You can focus better. You get more done. You know, the biggest benefit of a dopamine detox is freed up time. Now, in this freed up time, you can actually work on the things that you love. You can train more, you can read more, you can study more, you can study by the topics you love, you can learn new skills, you can talk to people. A dopamine detox will allow you to have better relationships. How crazy is that? So next time you're with your girl, you'll be more present, you'll give her the love she needs, and she'll reciprocate it. But if on the other hand, you just fried up your dopamine receptors, she's going to see you're not present, and she's just going to lose attraction to you. That's just how it goes, man. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, where could this one take you? Take care. Mwah. See ya.
Zeno Records.
My nigga Hydro gotta ride his bitch. I remember that time seeing feds outside your crib, but fuck it, no time for reminiscing, it's done. And try to stay strong whenever you're missing your son. It was inevitable that your bitch was gonna move on, cause 30 years is way too long. If I could, I would make the time fast forward. The hood's way different from when you last saw it. These bitches just want wealth and the gang.